Hello and welcome. In this presentation, we will be taking you through what Janus Creations has accomplished over the course of this semester. We've been working on an exciting project for Opto Sigma, and we'll walk you through how we've tackled the marketing challenges they presented to us. We'll also discuss the creative solution we've developed to help them meet their needs and achieve their goals. Along the way, we'll share the progress we've made, include key milestones, and how we've iterated on our ideas. We'll also highlight some of the important documents and processes that have helped guide us in the right direction, from our initial planning to where we are now. Let's dive in and take a closer look at what problem we're tackling, our solution, our obstacles, our processes, and what we've accomplished so far. Opto Sigma is an innovative company that focuses on optical and photonics products. They're known for offering advanced solutions in optics, electronics, and precision technologies. However, to stand out in a competitive, tech-heavy industry, they need a fresh and innovative marketing approach that not only inspires creativity, but also excites potential customers. Being such a successful company, they have recognized they are facing a critical issue though. Opto Sigma is aware that traditional advertising isn't as effective as it once was. Consumers today are bombarded with information from all angles, and the barrier to entry for advertising is lower than ever. As a result, people are becoming desensitized to conventional ads. Opto Sigma has recognized that they need to move beyond the normal advertising methods to increase their brand visibility, connect to a broader audience on a deeper, more engaging level, and to offer something new that doesn't just market their products, but makes the experience of interacting with their brand fun, inspiring, and memorable. In order to better tailor our services to the client's need, we of course spoke to Opto Sigma about their target audience. We found out that Opto Sigma's target audience is a mix of engineers and tech enthusiasts who are passionate about problem solving and innovation. The main group we're focusing on is broad, ranging from reach younger engineers around 22 to 30 to some older professionals up to 60 years old. While the majority are likely men, around 65% and about 35% are women. They're all highly educated, most having college degrees or are planning to pursue advanced degrees. What really stands out about this group is their love for learning and creating. They're the type of people who enjoy working through tough problems, especially when it involves numbers, engineering, or science. These are the kinds of people who thrive on solving puzzles and using their creativity, so they're the perfect audience for a fun, STEM-based game that lets them dive into challenges while tackling something new. It's all about blending that passion for tech and problem solving with an engaging, interactive experience. Now that we've identified Opto Sigma's problem, let's take a brief look at the team tackling this challenge and how our solution is to address this issue. At Janus Creations, we're a team of 15 creators with diverse skills, from game design to programming, art, and even sound. Our goal is to create engaging, immersive experience that challenges players and encourage engagement with STEM fields, ensuring high-quality results through collaboration and attention to detail. For our solution, we're developing a replayable mobile puzzle game that not only is fun, but also ties to Opto Sigma's Project Avatar comics series. We'll bring the comics characters and storyline into the game, creating a unique mix of puzzles, interactive storytelling with intuitive controls that make an engaging and responsive experience. The game will task players with challenging puzzles as they progress, while also keeping them engaged with the narrative that ties into the Opto Sigma material. By combining gameplay with the comics narrative, we'll create an experience that makes learning fun and ties back to Opto Sigma's brand in a way that's memorable. We'll go into more detail on the game mechanics and features in the future slides. Before diving into development, we knew it was essential to first define the guiding vision for our project. This helped set the foundation for everything that followed and ensured that our work was aligned with a clear, purposeful goal. That guiding vision for our team is to create mobile games that are both fun and meaningful. We want to design experiences that not only keep players entertained, but also encourage them to think in new ways and learn something along the way. Our goal is to blend creativity with attention to detail, with the intent of making every aspect of the game as enjoyable as we are able to. We believe games should be more than just a way to pass the time. By combining clever puzzles, interesting narratives, and plenty of replay value, we aim to create games that players will want to come back to again and again. To get where we are at today, it was important for us to establish a clear structure and approach early on. This was one of the first steps in our process, and to guide us throughout it, we created a team formation document. It laid the groundwork for how we'd work together throughout the project, as well as give us a unified identity to tackle big projects. We won't go into all the details of our team formation document, but it is important to highlight a few key points that were important to how we shaped our team and our project. This was one of the first steps we took to get to the same page and build a strong foundation for everything that came after. Let's talk about the conception of our team's name and logo, Janus Creations. The name Janus comes from the Roman god of transitions, who's always shown with two faces looking in opposite directions. This made sense for us because as students stepping into the professional world, we're in time of change, just like Janus. The idea of duality is also reflected in our logo. We chose black and white because it shows contrast and balance. The logo is split right down the middle. On the left, black, blocky letters are inspired by graffiti, representing the mechanical, structured side of game development. On the right side, the white, rounded letters are more fluid and elegant, representing the creative and artistic side of design. We chose these dualities, mechanical versus organic, and art versus science, because they reflect good game design. There's the technical side of things, like the puzzles and mechanics, and then there's also the creative side, like the art and the storytelling. The feeling the game gives the players. We need to make a full game. For example, there are real games out there which are incredibly popular, such as Portal, where the puzzles are very precise, but the design and humor give it that extra memorable experience. Another game of notice is Zelda, Breath of the Wild, which has solid mechanics but also has great world building and art that just breathes the life into the game. Our logo reflects these same ideas. It's not just about the structure or just about the creativity. It's about both of them. To really bring our brand to life, we also created a website. It's a great way to showcase our project, connect with our audience, and give others a deeper look at what we're all about. Our website is the perfect place to get to know Janus Creations, who we are, what we do, and the projects we've been working on. It's all about giving you a glimpse into our team's expertise, creativity, and showing you the work we're passionate about. Rather than just a typical portfolio, the website is designed to show how we approach our projects as a team. It allows visitors to get to know us better, see the work we've done, and understand our process. Whether it's exploring our showcase page or learning more about us through our About Us section, the site is structured to provide a comprehensive view of our team and the work we've been developing. Now that we've covered the overall purpose of the website, let's take a closer look at each of its key pages and how they contribute to giving visitors a deeper understanding of our team and the work we've done. Our website is structured to give visitors a clear understanding of who we are and what we do, with 5 key pages designed for easy navigation. The home page serves as a welcoming introduction to Janus Creations, featuring our logo and a brief overview of our studio. The showcase page highlights our team's expertise, and it gives visitors a look at the projects our members have been involved with. On the pitch page, we share our vision and future goals, particularly regarding our current project, which is only there primarily for this class. The About Us page introduces the team behind the work, putting faces to the names and showcasing our diversity. Finally, the Contact page provides a simple way for visitors to reach out for inquiries or collaboration, complete with links to all our social media. When we started planning our online presence, we did some research into how successful game studios set themselves up, and we quickly saw that having a website is pretty much standard in this industry. Big studios like Blizzard, Insomniac Games, and Riot Games all have well-crafted websites to showcase their work, build their brand, and connect with their audience. As a newly formed studio without a portfolio or completed projects yet, we knew that we needed a way to catch our audience's attention. That's why our showcase page highlights individual work from each of us, giving visitors a sense of what we as a team can bring to the table. Having established our brand, the next step in our process was to define a clear structure for our team. By outlining specific roles and responsibilities, we've ensured that each member's strengths and goals are aligned with key areas of this project. Let's take a look at the core roles within our team and how they contribute to our overall success. Our team is set up with a clear structure where each lead manages a specific part of the project. This helps make sure that everyone's strengths are put to good use, and each part of the game gets the attention it deserves. At the top, we've got the art lead, who handles everything visual. Under them, we have a few key roles: the character modeler, who designs and creates our 3D characters, the animator, who brings the scenes to life with movement and actions, and the environmental/prop modeler, who's in charge of building the game, environments, and props, making sure everything looks and feels cohesive. Then we got the level design lead, who takes care of the game's level structure. This includes designing the layout of each level, creating challenges, and figuring out how players will navigate and interact with the environment. The level designers under this lead are the ones building and refining the levels to make the gameplay experience smooth and enjoyable. Finally, we got the programming lead, who oversees all the technical stuff. This includes two main areas: system programmers, who focus on the technical side like optimizing performance and managing game systems, and gameplay programmers, who work on coding the interactive parts of the game, like player controls and making sure everything runs as smoothly as we can get it from a gameplay perspective. By splitting things up this way, each part of the game gets the attention it needs from specialists in each area. Everyone has their own role, and together we make sure the game is well-rounded, from the visuals to the gameplay to the technical parts that make everything work. Finally, to solidify all that we've done so far and to ensure that everyone on this team is aligned and clear on expectations, we formalized our collaboration by drafting a team contract. This document outlines our shared goals, roles, and responsibilities, as well as the procedures we'll follow to ensure accountability and resolve any conflicts that arise. As the team contract is highly detailed and covers a wide range of topics, we can't go over every aspect in this presentation due to time constraints. However, we'd like to highlight a few key points that our team felt were crucial in ensuring smooth collaboration and effective functioning within this team. First up, we decided to make our leadership roles flexible. We have a leadership rotation system where team leads can swap roles with each other as long as the team agrees through a vote. This helps keep things fresh, gives everyone a chance to lead, and make sure that no one gets stuck in a role that they are not particularly enjoying. We've also set up regular performance reviews. These are ways to check in on how everyone is doing at the things like quality work, meeting deadlines, and showing up for team meetings. If someone's performance isn't up to par, there are follow-up actions. For example, giving feedback, setting up a plan to improve, or in very extreme cases, probation, and even possible termination. It's all about keeping everyone accountable and making sure that everyone is contributing. For decision making, we really wanted to make sure everyone has a voice. So team leads gather feedback from their specific group they lead and then vote on the best course of action. If there's a tie, we have what we call mentors, which are individuals that we deem to have the best interest of the whole group and therefore can act as unbiased voices. The tie would then go to our mentor, who can break the tie. The mentors also have veto power if they feel a decision doesn't align with the bigger picture or the client's needs. We all know that conflicts can happen, so we made sure to have a process in place to handle them. And a small issue comes up, we try to work it out directly with the team. But if it's something bigger, we can reach out to our mentor to help mediate and make sure we stay on track. Obviously, the process and wording in the contract is a bit more formal for this presentation. We elected to keep it more general. If someone doesn't meet expectations or misses important deadlines, that could be considered a breach of contract. We'd then have a review to figure out what happened and how to move forward. Depending on the situation, it can result in a light punishment or termination if there is no further improvements. Speaking of termination, we've set up guidelines for how that can happen. A team member can be removed for not meeting expectations, failure to pass performance reviews, or if the team votes to remove them. But there's also an option for voluntary termination if someone decides to leave the team for one reason or another. There's a process set up for that, is a bit more involved, however we won't get into that here. Lastly, our contract has an amendment clause, which means if we ever need to make changes to the contract, we can. However, changes need to be approved by the team leads and the mentors have the final say. This helps keep everyone on track, even if we need to adjust something along the way. Now that we've covered how we've structured our team and set clear expectations through the team contract, it was equally important for us to ensure the same clarity with our client. To do this, we created a client contract to formalize our agreements as well as to lock in the scope of our project. So let's kick things off by talking about the scope of work. This is where we laid out everything we're committing to for the project. We've agreed to deliver things like the game design document, or better known as the GDD, art assets, game prototypes, and eventually the final game build. We have also made sure to include some specific expectations for things like game design and how we'll integrate scientific concepts into the gameplay. It's essentially the roadmap for how the whole project is going to unfold. Next up, the timeline. This is super important because it helps us stay on track. We've got key deadlines, the GDD being one for example. Some others include prototypes and eventually the final build. These milestones are there to make sure that we have something to follow so we can accomplish our task in a timely manner. Deliverables, that's an obvious thing to include for a client contract. It sets up expectations for what they can expect to receive. We'll also include sections regarding what is being exchanged, how we will handle the intellectual property as we are making this for a large corporation, as well as subjects and procedures for dispute resolution and even termination should it ever come to that manner. To sum up, this contract outlines everything we've agreed on, what we're delivering, the timeline, how feedback will work, and even how things will be handled if there are issues that come up. By following the terms laid out in this contract, we're making sure the project moves smoothly on both sides, and they're both protected. Now that we've most of the setup, we can dive into the details of how we're bringing this vision to life. As we mentioned earlier, our marketing solution for OptoSigma is a fun, replayable mobile puzzle game that directly features OptoSigma's Project Avatar comics series. The game will bring the comics characters and story to life, offering a mix of engaging puzzles and story tie-ins to the Project Avatar series. With simple controls, the game will aim to create an experience that intrigues the audience about the concept of STEM while being connected to the OptoSigma brand. We'll dive deeper into the game mechanics, features, and overall design in the next slides. The main plot of the game picks up right after Volume 6 of the OptoSigma comics series. You play as one of the recruits stationed on a space station at the Mars Lagrange 5 point, working to build a gate ring, a technology designed to connect different parts of space. However, things take a sudden turn when space debris collides with the station, causing a power surge that knocks out communications, cuts power, and damages the transportation ring. As backup generators activate, you find yourself trapped on the station with no way to escape. Your mission now shifts from construction to survival. You must restore power, fix transportation ring, and escape the station. While you're navigating this crisis, you'll interact with two key characters who help drive the story forward. The first character in the middle is Professor Rick, who is a brilliant scientist. He's the one that provides guidance through the holographic communication device, offering crucial information and tasks to help you restore the station's system. The other key figure is Kazu on the right, a robot formed from the signals sent out by Tankin, the alien race in need of help in this story. Kazu is shown in the right image, and this presence ties into the background of this universe through the story of the Tankin and how they connect to Kazu himself. While Kazu isn't as prominent, he will still be a character in which you can interact with. Now you have a sense of the story and the key characters that will guide you through. Now you have a sense of the story and the key characters that will guide you through the game. Let's take a closer look at how the gameplay works. The very foundation of the game is puzzle solving. Players will face a variety of puzzles that will aim to test their logic, their problem-solving skills, and their ability to think creatively. The core loop revolves around solving these puzzles to progress through the game, unlocking new tools and abilities that will allow the player to tackle the puzzle that come after. In terms of mechanics, we're planning a mix of different puzzle types to keep things fresh and interesting. We've got ideas for matching puzzles, where players might need to align objects with similar traits, sequencing, where they'll have to figure out the right order to trigger mechanisms or actions, sliding puzzles that involve moving pieces around to fit them in a specific configuration, and also physics-based challenges where players might need to manipulate gravity or momentum to solve puzzles. These ideas are general concepts for now, but each mechanic will bring its own unique twist and challenge to the game. Exploration is another key part of the experience. Players will have the freedom to explore the space station at their own will, uncovering hidden items or items you can interact with for extra information that are tied into the Opto-Sigma brand. While there's plenty of room for exploration, there's also implementing guided progression. This means that players will unlock new tools and abilities as they complete the puzzles. This allows them to take on sequential challenges. Finally, interaction with objects and tools will play a big role in how players solve puzzles and progress. Some of these tools will be tied to the narratives/puzzles, while others, like Opto-Sigma branded products, might reveal extra information such as cool facts or explanations that can be used to introduce a concept that somebody may not have been interacted before. For the visual style of the game, we're blending two distinct looks, mainly comic book inspired styles for characters, and a more realistic approach for the environment. The characters will be designed to look like they stepped straight out of the Opto-Sigma comic, with cell shading. On the other hand, the space station itself will have a very more realistic mechanical feel to it. It's set in the far reaches of space, so the environment will have a cool gray tone that reflect the industrial technology vibe of the station. We'll use standout colors like blue, red, yellow, and green to highlight key interactive elements that control panels, warning signs, or special objects that hopefully guide the player while not being too intrusive. The environmental design of the game draws from a mix of human-made technology and advanced futuristic systems to create a believable, immersive world. The space station itself is a functional environment designed to support puzzle solving and exploration. The spaces players will explore will aim to have a practical, industrial feel with futuristic touches that align with the narrative setting on a Mars-Langridge space station, while at the same time sporting a low-poly, simplistic design that allows for better optimization. Finally, the player camera. To explore this setting, we're creating players will navigate the space station in first person, which will give them full control and a sense of immersion. The camera will be fixed at a comfortable height, allowing for easy 360-degree exploration. Next, let's take a look at the design and progression of the game. As we've referenced before, the game features guided progression. Player progression is driven by puzzle solving and unlocking tools or hints necessary for tackling the next challenges within the space station. Progression is linear in terms of the puzzle completion, with players needing to solve puzzles in a specific order to progress. However, while players are required to complete puzzles in sequence, they have the freedom to explore the entire space station at their will. This means they can discover future areas and puzzles that they can return to once they acquire the correct tools to progress. In addition to the main puzzles, there is also optional side quests that players can engage in. These side quests involve searching for hidden Easter eggs, which provide extra lore and references to the Project Avatar series. These Easter eggs don't affect the main progression, but they do offer a rewarding experience for players who want to dig deeper into the game's universe. The game flow is designed around a balance of exploration, puzzle solving, and side activities. Players will start in a command center, where they'll complete introductory puzzles to unlock the space station. After that, they'll have the freedom to explore the station and engage with various interactive objects and NPCs. The primary goal is to solve puzzles, which will unlock new tools to help solve even more complex puzzles. As players do progress, the difficulty will increase gradually, guiding them through a series of escalating challenges. Speaking of difficulty will scale over time. Early puzzles will introduce basic concepts and help players understand the mechanics of the game. As players advance, puzzles will require more active thinking and introduce mechanics such as time limits or moving constraints. Essentially, the early puzzles will be easy, while the later ones will have specific conditions that aim to make it more challenging as the player becomes more familiar with the game mechanics. A good game requires an equally good interface so that players don't get frustrated while playing. Our user interface is designed with a minimalist style in mind. The goal is to keep everything simple, clean, and easy to navigate without overwhelming the player. We want the focus to remain on the gameplay, so the UI will be unobtrusive, offering just the right amount of information. The HUD will be very minimal, displaying only essential elements during gameplay. A small tab will sit at the edge of the screen, which players can tap on to open their inventory. This inventory screen will be simple, displaying icons for the tools and items the player collects throughout the game, making it easier to manage and keep track of important objects. For game settings, the menus will be just as simple, with easy-to-use buttons that provide access to the game options such as audio, getting back to the main menu, or even the option to reset to your latest checkpoint should you get stumped on a puzzle. You can get an idea on how it might look with these very early prototypes to the left. The top image featuring the overall UI design, while the bottom images featured the inventory system that aims for equally minimalist look. But how does this all tie in with promoting Opto Sigma? As part of the game, we'll be incorporating some of the game advertising for Opto Sigma that feels natural but not disruptive. For instance, players will see the Opto Sigma logo in different places around the space station. Things like computer screens, equipment, and even warning signs. Will also include branded assets like tech and station designs, so it's clear that Opto Sigma is a part of the game's world. In addition to this, we'll sneak in subtle references to Opto Sigma and Project Avatar throughout the game's story. These references might come up in conversations, hidden lore like the side quests, or even in the puzzles themselves, referencing the game back to our client. Our idea is to create a positive association between the players and the OptoSigma brand. By making the game fun and immersive, we want players to leave the experience with a good feeling about the brand, and hopefully they'll want to learn more. It's about building that connection in a way that does not feel forced, is the ultimate goal. Finally, we'll give the players the opportunity to engage with the brand in a way that's rewarding and immersive, such as referring them to OptoSigma website or even to their comic series that this game is based off of. We're going to look at some key metrics that are going to contribute to our measures of success. First, we'll start with the UI testing. We aim to gather feedback on the user interface and overall player experience. Specifically, we're aiming for at least 80% positive feedback from players on how the UI feels and functions. The team is brainstorming on how to measure this, and one of the ideas we have came up with is having occasional surveys that players can choose to participate in and give feedback on how they feel about the design and the UI using a numerical scale. Next, we'll measure user engagement by tracking daily active users, or better known as DAU. Through our research, the target is to hit around 10,000 DAU by the end of the first month. However, that estimation was in accordance to professionals in the industry. A more realistic target for a studio our size and experience might be around the range of 2,500 to 5,000 DAU. Additionally, we'll monitor session length, targeting 10 to 20 minutes per session to ensure players are engaged. As we move through the game's life cycle, we'll keep an eye on player retention. Through our research from various websites like Plotline, Adjust, or Business Apps, we've found that day one retention generally floats around 20 to 25%. At the end of the first month, it can drop to around 2 to 5%. If we are in this 2 to 5% range, we would consider that a success. Another important aspect is brand awareness. Based on Nielsen's 2017 study, it showed that game-based marketing can significantly boost recognition, and that brand recall can be as high as 70 to 80%. Of course, considering our team's size and resources, if we hit around the 50% mark, we would consider that a success. In order to measure this, we believe a survey would be the most direct approach to do this, seeing how well the players can recall the brand or if they do at all. Another metric we'll track is the conversion rate. How many players engage with OptoSigma or request more information after seeing the in-game advertisements. Our research from sites such as AdColony and Charboost report rates of anywhere from 3 to 7%. For our studio, we'll call it a success if we hit rates of 3% or more. Finally, we'll gather player feedback to ensure that in-game advertising feels integrated but not disruptive. We'll aim for 60 to 70% positive feedback on the ad integration. These are the key metrics that we'll be using to track the game's success and effectiveness in meeting both gameplay and marketing goals. As a note, metrics such as user engagement rating, player retention, and conversion rates are something that are beyond the scope of this project, since this will take some time to measure after the product is released. However, we can potentially obtain those metrics through our clients themselves. Having a large team is a huge advantage. More hands on deck, more expertise, and more creativity. But it can also come with its own set of challenges that we have to be ready for. Let's walk through a few of these challenges and how we plan to tackle them. With a larger team, keeping everyone on the same page can get tricky. It's easy for things to slip through the cracks or for miscommunications to happen to slow the process down. So in order to keep things running smoothly, we'll hold weekly team meetings where everyone can check in, raise any concern, and make sure we're all aligned. We'll also stay active on communication apps to keep each other updated. When there are a lot of people, distributing tasks clearly is of the utmost importance. If we're not careful, work can get duplicated or missed altogether. Our solution for this is to use a website like Basecamp to keep things organized. This will help us assign specific tasks to the right people and track progress in real time. That way, everyone knows exactly what they're responsible for, and we avoid any confusion or overlap. As for time management, it is always a challenge, but with so many people and moving parts, it can be especially easy to lose track of deadlines or get behind. To keep things on track, we've created a project schedule that outlines the big picture and breaks it down into smaller, more manageable deadlines. This way, we can stay on top of everything and make sure we're meeting targets without getting overwhelmed. Looking at cohesion, multiple people working on different elements of the game, it is important that everything feels like it belongs together. We want the game to have a consistent style and feel. From models to environments to levels, we want everything to feel cohesive. In order to make sure that everything is cohesive, we'll regularly check that all models, environments, and levels do align with the established theme. This way, no matter who's working on what, we can ensure the final product feels unified and polished. As we near the end of this presentation, let's take a look at some of the mock-ups of the game's level design. These images provide a sneak peek into the environments players will explore. The first mock-up on the left shows the kitchen. The design focuses on clean, functional space and spaces that might see on a space station. The mock-up on the right is the actual space station. The early drawing features an idea of the typical type of space station we would like to tackle and see eventually in the game. There are of course many more mock-ups that haven't been shown here, but you can see our team has been hard at work coming up with different ideas. Some we've already presented to our clients and some we still have yet to do. Finally, we would like to go over our timeline that we've set for ourselves. Not just to summarize all that we've done, but also give you a look at what we are planning for the future. As we worked through the stages of our project, we broke everything down into 5 main phases: initiation, planning, execution, performance, and closure. Each phase plays an important role in our project and ensures we stay on track to meet our goals. To start, let's dive into the initiation phase, where we laid the groundwork for everything that followed. In this phase, it was all about setting the foundation for the project. We started with market research in August of 2024, where we explored the market, studied similar games, and gathered insights to the solutions we would make to plan for our client. Next, we moved into team formation during the months of August and September, where we defined roles, got to know each other a little more, and established a clear team structure. This timeline also included drafting our team contracts and making sure everyone understood the expectations. Finally, between September, October, and November, we've developed our project charter, which outlined our goals, scope, and project direction. Next up in the planning phase. This phase goes from November to January. This is when we really started to work on our ideas and get everything organized before we can start building. To kick things off, we've been working on and are continuing to work on our game idea and initial sketches. We've been brainstorming and figuring out the core concept of the game, as well as sketching out some early visuals to get everyone on the same page. This part is all about getting the foundation right before diving deeper into the development. At the same time, we're also starting gathering feedback and making improvements. This feedback loop is critical for making sure we're headed in the right direction. And we've been doing this alongside refining our level design layout and putting together an asset list that outlines everything we need to build for the game. As you can see, we've also planned for things such as having an asset list ready, as well as some model turnarounds. However, those were things we were not able to achieve. As a result of that, we are looking to rectify this internally so that we can successfully slot it elsewhere down the line. Next is the execution phase. This phase takes us from December all the way to April of 2025. This is where things really start to come together as we shift from planning to the actual development of the game. We'll be working on a lot of the technical aspects of this game. This includes finalizing and refining props and character models, getting them fully rigged for animation, and making sure everything looks and moves the way we want them to. On top of that, our programmers will be scripting so that we can bring our game to life. This is where we'll implement gameplay mechanics, interactive features, and ensure everything runs smoothly. It's going to be a lot of hard work, but it's also where we'll start to see our ideas turn into something tangible. Next is the performance phase, which runs from February to April 2025. This phase is about making sure the game works as intended and fine-tuning it before the final delivery. We'll kick things off with the alpha test. This is our first big opportunity to see the game in action and evaluate how all the mechanics are working together. We'll be looking for any major issues or areas that need improvement. Next, we'll move into the beta testing. This is where we'll gather feedback from a larger group and identify any final bugs or gameplay issues. We can really polish our game here and get it into shape our client wants. Along with the tests, we'll focus on feedback and improvements. As we get insights from our tests, we'll refine features, improve the experience, and address any problems that pop up. While those tests are still a bit always at this point, our group have already started to think about how we would go about obtaining feedback and what criteria and methods we would use. While it is nothing concrete yet, some ideas that have come up in recent discussions include surveys, which we have mentioned in a way to survey metrics in the prior slides, as well as potentially using in-group testing involving our own team and our client. They could use methods such as recording their thoughts during or after play, or include any concerns that they have on the document. External testing has also been brought up, but in what form would that take? It is not concrete. Finally, there's debugging. After the tests, it's time to iron out any remaining bugs that happen to get through the cracks of the previous tests and ensure that everything runs smoothly. This will help us get the game ready for its final release. Finally, we have the closure phase, which will take place in May of 2025. This is where we'll wrap up everything and deliver the final product. After all the testing, feedback, and adjustments, we'll make sure the game is polished, finalized, and ready for release. We thank you very much for listening to this presentation, and we are looking forward to bringing our vision to life here at Janus Creations.